Hey guys, and welcome back to Castle Crush, and today we are going to be in storm mode here, and we're going to be playing with a giant jester, trying to just kind of troll people in storm mode with a giant jester, and seeing what craziness we can do. So I also have a metamorph, vampire, and necromancer in here. So it's really all just about making a giant necromancer, and I already have a great match here that I had gotten into. So the jester can actually be a pretty powerful card once you start to use the giant growth on it and get the strength over time from this particular game mode. And because a lot of people rush in this game mode, it's not necessarily a card that draws like a ton of attention from your opponent initially. Like, it's not a card they freak out over and just start instantly trying to counter, like, as soon as you play it. So that's why it's kind of a good card to use, because oftentimes, by the time they do realize there's a problem, you've already gotten a much stronger card than they were anticipating, and then it's easier for you to defend it. So you can see right here, they went in, they were trying to push as well, and you'll see in the end that's why I had to kind of end the match the way it did, because this person was pushing for the win. They were not going down easily here. And that Reaper was already too strong there with the protection to remove with the spike statue. But luckily I have Gust of Wind. Oops. Luckily I have Gust of Wind, and that kept saving me over and over. So unfortunately I had a great metamorph there for against that rush, but it just landed in the wrong lane. Good news, again, my jester is huge, and I have good nature heals. And then I get the necromancer out. So while the necromancer only saves it at like partial health, a low amount of health, because I have so many nature heals, it's just good in case I mistime a nature heal, because often I'll still have one more. So then after it comes back, I can just use it again. And as you're going to see here, so Giant Hollow Knight going against Giant Jester, and the Giant Jester here is just destroying the Hollow Knight, and then getting close range in on those archers. Just one hit their protection off them. However, then they swap lanes, and I'm like, uh-oh, because I don't really have anything to defend with, so I had to just go for the win here. So I just got like the most epic match here. You guys won't even believe this probably. Well, maybe you will, because storm mode does get pretty wild, but this was pretty wild. I mean, I couldn't even believe what was going on here for a little while. I mean, let's see what they were doing, because I sort of thought that they were kind of just feeding into me and helping me create this sort of epic showdown. But basically, we both get some crazy stacks going here, and both of us pretty much commit to this one lane for most of the match, which is sometimes hard to find in just random opponents. So many people in storm mode, they like to just try and rush you and play rather competitively, but luckily I was able to find someone who, I don't know, I mean, they got competitive near the end, but we had a nice little thing going here for a while. I kept putting Giant Growth kind of accidentally on the spike statue, and after a while, I kind of just gave in and kept putting it on the spike statue. But at first, yeah, you can see, I thought right here I was in pretty bad shape, and I was like, this is going to end. But we had Gusts of Wind, and, well, I mean, the Hollow Knight is kind of at low health. They don't have an angel there with it. Now they have an angel, but yeah, and unfortunately then they do get the health back. But you know, all this time has gone past, and even though I do not have the strongest card out there, I'm able to get my necromancer down, and all of a sudden, I have a bunch of cards out there with a necromancer, and the necromancer is bringing them back to life. And they're not really making much progress, but it is interesting. And it's also interesting because the jester, I think their jester kept pushing my necromancer maybe back, and then I was able to get a second necromancer out, which is pretty powerful, because it means when the first necromancer goes down, it'll appear, but it'll appear at the back. So it won't just instantly get KO'd again. It'll have to walk all the way up. And with the two of them, you know, both walking up, not together, you know, you can see the other necromancer appears back there, and then they both just get resurrected again. I mean, they both resurrect themselves again. And look at this though. This giant Hollow Knight, they managed to metamorph it. And I'm like, nah, dude, I still have so many gusts of wind. So we're just keeping going here. And you can see the stack in the bottom lane that I have is kind of crazy. It's like there's no way they're getting through that. I could just hold them off infinitely. So it's too bad I didn't have a standard bear, or that could have gotten really crazy. But anyways, I still have gusts of wind. And I'm like, well, what can I do here to do anything about what they're doing? And kind of hoping I'll get a metamorph and I could metamorph one of the giant Hollow Knights. That would be fun. But unfortunately, I just metamorphed a necromancer. Although this wasn't the end of it by any means, because they still have gusts of wind. I still have gusts of wind. But then, actually, that was the end of it. Unfortunately, I tried to use that gust of wind, but I just wasn't expecting it fully. Anyways, that was a totally crazy match right there. Just shows you the craziness of storm mode and some of the crazy stuff that you can get yourself into. But super epic match right there. Here we're going to start off with the double jester. And they have a golem angel stack. But I'm just going to go right in here. When they go with these big stacks, I kind of just have to go with the win for the win, because I don't really have a whole lot of options, but I do have a metamorph. And then we can hopefully block with something good, but we just get an angel, although we can put the spike statue out there and block them with the angel and spike statue, because the angel heals the spike statue. So look at that, coming away with a win. Giant Jester doing the work right there. Not quite as long as some of these other matches, but I was still able to troll some people pretty well with the Giant Jester, as you'll see. The Giant Jester is one of my favorites just because, you know, it pushes back the opponent and it can hit through the opponent if it's right next to their castle. So I don't necessarily have to be able to remove their entire stack of cards. It's just that I just have to push them, strong enough to be able to push them back to the castle, and then I can just do the work. Even if they have an angel or I can't take them out completely, I can still get the win. This one right here, they have a tough stack that I'm working through, doing a lot of damage to my jester and dwarf. But I decided to just block them and give myself some time to get things going. Unfortunately, I lost the vampire, but we do have a double giant growth in my hand, so I decided to just go back and get the necromancer started, since that should be good. But of course, you know, it puts the giant growth on the dwarf and not the jester, I believe. Yeah, that's what happened here. Put it on the dwarf, which is funny. It's always fun to see the giant dwarf, but it's not the most effective card to put it on. Honestly, the jester gets, I think, a fair bit stronger than the dwarf. And the dwarf was taking a lot of damage, though. So I was just trying to block out in these other lanes. But unfortunately, they are doing a good job. Actually, in the middle lane there, I thought that Dryad might be too strong, but my vampire actually removed it from the field there. You can see that giant dwarf going at it in the bottom lane, which is pretty epic. And you can see the jester also pushing them back, which is a really valuable thing, but unfortunately just couldn't keep its health up enough to keep that push sustained. So we have two stacks going at each other right here, and unfortunately, though, they keep removing the dwarf. Luckily, I have the necromancers, but my stack is really getting pushed back, guys. Look at that dwarf, though. Unfortunately, yes, but fortunately we did, because I got the giant ape pirate. I almost forgot about that, but I managed to get a giant ape pirate in the top lane. I think I metamorphed it, and that ended up doing the job there. I didn't even see that because it was like partly hidden under my screen there that I'm looking at, but that was probably the craziest thing about that one was the clutch giant ape pirate. Not ape pirate, but just pirate, regular pirate, metamorph. And then this one here, both going in for a rush. And I was immediately like, I gotta shut this down. Luckily, they did not metamorph the storm elemental. So I got lucky right there that they did not metamorph the storm elemental, but then I get the vampire in good positioning. And they try to start rushing, but I have my giant jester in progress, and I grab the metamorph. And at that point, I think they realized, because you can see in their hand, they don't have like a black witch or anything to shut me down with. So that was the end of that. Right there. So all in all, I mean, giant jester pretty fun to play with, and we got another kind of rather epic match in there as well. So I was overall pretty happy with this. I'd like to continue it at some point. I'll probably do some other videos with other cards, but I seem to only get through like a couple of videos each storm mode day, so I kind of have to like then wait another week type of thing before doing it again. Even though storm mode is like by far probably the best mode for making videos in at the moment, I just feel like. So I don't know. Anyways, leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comments about this video and what other types of content I should create. Maybe subscribe if you're new to my channel. And thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos.